as soon as Pat joins, we will get her in here. There she is.
Hey. Hi,
Howdy.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Allie.
I'm not eating.
And hi, DM Parker. All right, guys. We did it. We made it to October.
Of 2021.
Hello, JS. Hello, Craig. Just letting everybody get in here.
I think I found a mug that I haven't
Very
used
high.
on here yet, and I'm feeling really proud of myself because that's hard to do.
Oh, yeah. I've switched to my mini little wood ones.
This is like, when did I get? I don't know why I got this. Was a gifted mug. It's like really, I don't know. It's like all artsy and ooh. What brand is that? That looks like a familiar brand. Wait,
Target.
we're not endorsed by anyone here.
Target. It is Target. I am a basic Becky.
You mean Target?
Yeah, jeez. The Canadian branch, Target. Hi, everybody.
So, can we all just take a moment to say that I can see everybody this week? I got new glasses. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Them.
Those are
Yeah.
so cool.
For like,
So that's plug right there. Elle got new glasses, and they look so good.
they do. I love them. I got a new prescription in December, and then I couldn't pick glasses. I feel like for as long as we've been talking, I've been telling you that I need new glasses, and then never getting them. Then I ran out of contacts, and I was like, ugh, if I have to order contacts, I guess I should just order glasses. So, but now I can see so much better, so I really should have done it a while ago. She says while driving herself to work 5 days a week.
Oh, not trying to hear that.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, I only drive on like a highway.
These are just blue light glasses. I don't actually need them. They just help me stare at a screen forever.
Elle got glasses, yet fresh. She's always blurry. Womp womp. Hey.
Fresh eyes.
Am I actually blurry right now?
No.
No.
Not on my end. Try to get better internet. Just kidding. It's like leave the Yukon. It is sweater weather, guys.
It sure is.
Ugh. Get all like cozy up in here.
No, you're good. Okay, so try being mean to me again. That's cool.
Well, guys, hi. Welcome to So You Wanna, a show for writers by writers. Tonight we are talking about horror, and you might notice we have a special guest tonight, Pat Ewick. If you haven't read her shit and you don't want to be scared at night, just kidding. It is really fucking spooky though, so that is why we have her here. But yeah, I'm Meg, and fun fact, if you couldn't tell from that introduction, I actually am not a fan of horror because I don't want to be scared like on purpose. This just sounds terrible. Tonight's show is probably gonna fuck me up, and you know, other news, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, what a sad, pathetic, scaredy cat, and you want to support me, you sure can. I've got my book out now, my first ever, poetry book that's published. It's available on Amazon, and it is $4.99, and you can just pick it up, and that, goes to me, makes me feel good that other people are reading my sad shit. But yeah, the link is in my bio, so feel free to hop in on that. It's not gonna scare you though, I'm sorry. Yeah, Elle? Did she freeze?
Sorry, you froze for a moment. Okay.
Oh.
Sorry. Hi. Hey, I'm Elle, and I brought a safety blanket today.
Jeez.
You can also check out my books that are the exact opposite of horror on Wattpad. I have my romance for the love of art that is complete and ready to binge. And in super exciting news, this week it hit 1,000 reads. I just want to take a minute to say thank you to everyone who's read my book, supported my work. It just means so much to me, especially considering I just published it in May and I literally took a break in June after publishing only a few chapters. It means a lot to me that you stick with me through that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Also quickly, I have 2 poetry books. That's Elle and Under the Starry Sky. All my work you can find in my link, or in the links in my link tree. So just go follow that. As Meg said at the top, we have a guest with us, and we're so excited to have Pat Ewick here to talk all about horror. So Pat, why don't you let everyone know where we can find your work and a little about you.
Hi. Well, I'm Pat Ewick, and I am the author of a gothic horror novel, Willow Manor, which is available on Wattpad now. And the upcoming Step 5, which we should see about mid-November. That's a futuristic horror story. And then I also have a collection of short scary stories for tweens on Amazon called Tales to Terrify. And those are published under my secret identity of Cassandra Blackwick. And I want to say thank you to both of you for having me here. I'm just happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. Let's see. I feel like I have to be on my best behavior since there's an adult here. We're all adults, Craig. That's what's sad. Even you. All right. Well, tonight we're going to talk about a few things, and we'll get right to it. But, because I'm that guy, this is your weekly friendly neighborhood reminder that we have a Discord, a YouTube, both which, hey, our So You Want a Discord group is open, so you can slide on in and introduce yourself, grab a roll, whatever. Or YouTube, we're always happy to see that subscription pop up. And then we do have merch on the way. Neither of us are rocking our So You Want a mugs today, but that is the first thing that you'll see drop here in a little bit. And then I think that's all for my weekly blah, blah, blahs.
Well, you guys, I have a big announcement. I finally did it this week. I made the blanket and I got it ordered. So I'm super excited. It's going to take a little bit of time to make, but I know that Meg's looking forward to it. Don't let that face fool you, you guys. It's a fake face. She's so excited. This winter, she's going to get to wrap herself up and stare at me through all of our So You Wanna episodes. I'm super stoked. I think it looks amazing. So
I hope this backfires on you. I'm going to take this blanket everywhere so that if I end up in like a sudden death situation, the first question is going to be like, who is this person, this blanket that she's wrapped herself in?
So I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like
suspect number 1.
I feel like if we are ever in a sudden death situation, either you or me, everyone's first guess is gonna assume that it's either you or it's me, depending who's dead.
That's
saying.
awful. Yeah.
Anyway, but keep sending screenshots because I may have other really creepy gift ideas for Meg in the future. So don't let that face fool you. She is excited.
Nope. Goodness. Okay, well, let's get tonight started. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing us just chit chat. Hey, at least I'm not eating a donut this week.
I got crackers that I'm eating, so you guys can watch me.
Yeah. Pat, do you want to start with basically just telling us how you go about writing a horror?
Okay, sure.
It's kind of like it's almost like a niche genre. Like I feel like you can jump in on other genres. Like some people will go from like contemporary romance to, like historical or whatever. But horror is kind of like something that you really gotta like think about,
You would think so. But as I was trying to think about how I would address this week, you know, you write a horror story really pretty much the way you write any other story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And
Yeah.
you know, you gotta make that connection with your readers. Your readers have to care about the characters so that they can feel that fear, so that they care about what happens. Um, and and I think mostly you can follow Campbell's hero journey through a horror story as well. There's some key differences. So for one thing, in a horror story, I think there's a really healthy amount of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, you know, if you break it down to two concepts, you've got, on the one hand, things that probably couldn't happen, you know, zombie invasion, alien attack, vampires taking over your high school, demonic spirit possessing a doll, you know, and then you've got things that are scary because they could happen. So disease and death and disaster and betrayal and the loss of a loved one and deception, abandonment. So you've got all those fears working. I think as a writer, what we do is we combine the real scary with the fantastical scary. And that kind of is where we get that that real visceral fear that we incite in others. And I think that you know, that having that reality in there helps the reader suspend their disbelief. So, for example, if you look at, bless you, bless you, bless you.
I'm sorry.
So if you look at Stephen King's The Shining, for example.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why that was funny.
Sorry.
If you look at Stephen King's The Shining, for example, yeah, it's a pretty good ghost story, you know. But what makes this story really scary is that
we've all been there trying to finish a manuscript and almost lost our minds.
It sounds like NaNoWriMo.
Yeah.
The scary part is there's this potential for domestic violence in Jack that we already know is there, just from what they've said has already happened. And they're isolated, you know, they're in the situation that they are not getting out of. And he's desperate. He's desperate to overcome this in the past, and desperate not to have this be his self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's where the real fear lies in The Shining, for me, I think. Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca is another example. Yeah, it's a gothic ghost story, you know, and there are all these creepy things that happen, you know, like the creepy lady's maid, and you've got the ghost women walking out on the lawn and everything. But what's really scary about this is that the narrator, who I don't think we even know her name, she feels so unworthy of her situation, and so you know, so less than everyone else, and that kind of adds a layer to the ghosts around, which I think adds to it. So that's kind of one thing that I try to do. I try to add that layer of real psychological fear into the fantastical. You know, and then also, I think with a horror story, more than any other story, it relies on the tension. You know, you've got to build the tension in it. And that's not to say that it's all like go, 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 because you can only go up so high.
Yeah.
And once you crank the tension up so high, readers just get numb. They just get numb to it. And that's why if you're watching...
Breast inoculation.
Right. It's a real thing. That's why if you're watching, like if you watch a horror movie, you'll notice there'll be like some quiet, tense part where the main character is, you know, walking through the creepy dark, and you know something's going to happen, and it's going to be so scary, and you're waiting for it, and you're waiting for it, and you're waiting for it, and then a cat jumps out of the cupboard, right?
Yeah.
Right, and it kind of breaks that tension, and then we kind of we reset that, you know, that terror clock.
Yeah.
And it makes what's coming even worse.
Yeah.
I liked that word, terror clock, like resetting the terror clock. I feel like that's a good way to describe it. Like in my head as a
hourglass that flips.
Yeah, like in my head as a non-horror writer, I'm like, oh, that makes sense why that happens. It kind of reminds me of romance. You do kind of like the same thing. You build all this tension between them, and then you release it, and then you, like, it's the same kind of idea. But I like the terror clock. I'm writing that down.
Good.
I'm going to use it for romance because if anyone ever has the pleasure of Charlie Daying with Miss Elle here, it's terrifying because like you get invested to her characters, and then she's like, you know, and then I'm going to do this. And you're like, what, why would you do that? And you're like, pull them apart. And I'm, oh my God.
I think that there are a lot of similarities between romance.
So there's definitely a terror clock in some romances.
Yeah. You know, so I do that a lot, like with Willow Manor. I like, you know, I made things, they got creepier and creepier and creepier, and then I threw some, usually it was Blake, some random line to break that tension.
Yeah.
Number one, for anyone who is watching, Willow Manor is fucking great. Like, it's just incredible. Yeah, Elle and I both read it.
I'm still reading it. But...
Yeah, but it's so good. Number two, what I really like about Willow Manor is that there are things in it where it's like, okay, well, that is fucking creepy. You know, but it's written in a way that like it fits into like contemporary life. So like you're like, oh God, is that what that means? Is my house haunted? Like you're thinking about that stuff as you're reading it. But then like the way you reset the terror clock is that you have these little like punches of humor in it, and so then you like find yourself, you're laughing, and you're like, oh fuck, you know, like, well, I'm chill now, but. You know, so yeah, it's really good. So for anyone who's watching, you know, you're watching this for a reason. If horror's your bag, Willow Manor is great. So it's available on Wattpad, fully released, right? You entered it in the Waddies too.
It's fully released and entered in the Waddies.
Awesome. Yeah. Good. Well, I mean, I could talk about the pitfalls of writing now. Oh, you know what? I did. I wrote down a question here. Actually, you said that in horror, you can. Sorry, I'm like hijacking for the question. Usually, people throw questions in the chat, but I have one because obviously I don't dabble in this genre because I am a scaredy cat. But
same.
You said what is okay? So with horror, when you're writing it, you can work off of Campbell's hero's journey. So that is, if I'm not mistaken, that is the, you know, quest, and then could you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So, you know, so obviously since it's a horror story, we're not looking to join any heroic quest, but you know,
unless it's defeating the scary doll.
Right. You may start off with an inciting incident, you know, a murder, a ghostly visitation, you know, a hellmouth opening up under your high school, something. Yeah. Right.
I was just we're like, oh God. I went to a Catholic school. That would have been really bad.
Puffy.
And then, you know, you have
Rosemary.
You have your reluctant hero, you know, who for whatever reason they are the only person, you know, who can help this situation. So in Willow Manor, Katie decides, you know, right off the bat, you know, that this family needs me.
Yeah.
They need me. And then they set upon the journey. Although for Katie, the journey is just, the day-to-day happenings.
Yeah.
She's faced with, she's faced with difficulties. There are false conclusions, and finally, we end up full circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back to the beginning. So I think that a lot of stories, a lot of horror stories fit into that, category. Even if you look at something that doesn't necessarily end happily, like, for example, The Shining.
Not a happy one.
Right. It is a triumph of a sort because, because most of the family makes it through this. And you could argue that
if no one's seen the very old or read the book.
You could argue that Jack does as well. in a sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it definitely fits mostly the hero journey.
Yeah. Well, and like, as much as I am, so like between the two of us, Al and I, when you watch these shows, or if you talk to us on the Discord, you're going to notice that we're actually vastly different writers here. Elle is more type A, and she sits there and she's like, this is the outline and this is the structure and everything. And so she's really good for like plotting. But I'm a bit of a pantser sometimes. And so like, sometimes the story when you're writing it, is really more of like, I don't know where I was going with this, but like in the journey and the quest thing rather than the ebb and flow, I guess. Or the happily ever after. I don't know, guys. I lost it. It was there. It was coherent. I'm going to think of it in like 3 minutes, and the train's going to be gone. Whatever. Hilariously, I'm going to talk about the pitfalls to avoid in horror now. I just went on that. Okay. So, number one, I guess, okay, I'm going to say this until, I beat this horse dead, and then, myself and the rest of us. But you got to make sure that everything in your story serves a purpose. Again, that's hilarious that's my opening line after I literally just lost my train of thought mid-sentence. But, that's exactly why it's important, so like, especially in like horror, so like your characters, your creatures, your monsters, your lore, your magic, your ghosts, whatever, they all need to have something that like roots them into the story, but like, they have a motivation or a reasoning for why they are the way they are. Right. They've got goals, just like all your characters do, and they've got like their own little like world going on or whatever. So, because, your readers want to know why the villain or the big bad is bad, are they a demon doll? I think it's pretty much, established and well accepted that if they're a creepy demon doll, they're just a thing of evil. But, if they're a person and they're a serial killer, people want like the background there, and they want like, why are they doing this? How are they doing this? How long have they been doing this? And so you're almost kind of like, world building in a sense, like without like the magic systems and the races and the languages and stuff, but you're building like a world, or like a lore thing here. So like you want things to not only like exist for a reason, but that you want them to be consistent. So like if the door, this is off the top of my head, if the door to the attic is always randomly open, why is the door to the attic always randomly open? And like, is it always going to be that way through the book? And then we're going to figure out why,
well, that's creepy.
Died in the attic or whatever, Yeah. So, just like the number one pitfall I see there with horror is that, you know, I've read a couple of stories, and sometimes it feels like it's just, you know, jump scare to it's kind of like written for like a shock factor. And while, yeah, you need that shock factor, and you need your readers to be scared, and you need to be scared, because if you're not scared, your readers aren't going to be scared. But, you know, there's kind of got to be like, there has to be a higher story that's happening here. There has to be an arc or whatever. Because for me, if I am watching horror, I'm watching it because it's spooky season. A friend has bullied me into it, or, you know, a friend has written it, and I want to be supportive. You know, but I'm looking for that resolution at the end. You know, The Shining is a great example, a great movie. You see this horrible thing happen to this family, but at the end they like make it out, and you're like, oh god, that was a wild ride. You know, if that movie ended where they're all dead, and, you know, like, it'd kind of be like, why did I just waste 2 hours of my life? Now I'm never gonna sleep again. You know, so if you're gonna lure people back in to read the rest of your work and stuff, you kind of want to have the ability to like keep people focused and keep them like wanting that, oh man, things are going to get so bad, but, you know, it's written by Pat Ewick, so we know it's going to be somewhat good at the end. You know, like, good as in happy. Somewhat happy at the end, not like, yeah. So, whatever. But, you know, what are their MO? And when you get down to it, you know, even Freddy Krueger had an origin story and an endgame, you know? And Jigsaw is an evil doll, so he falls into that. You know, but like Harry,
though he did have a story, like, you know, it was a doll that the guy, like the guy who was actually doing all those riddles had gotten for his son. Like, he did have, like, there was all a purpose behind it. He was crazy.
Yeah. And I think those are the movies and the books and the stories that you're going to pick up again and read every Halloween, or read, you know, every Monday because you're a weirdo, you know, but like, you're going to enjoy that because it resonates, you know. But yeah, I'm not opposed to the chaos factor. You know, I do believe some people just want to watch the world burn, you know, but I think that I think there's a consistency that you need to make sure that you're following. And, you know, just, I don't know, like, yeah, don't be that person that's just randomly writing shit because you think, oh, this will freak people out. And then, like, you know, 10 chapters later, you're like, wait, but in chapter 2,
right,
it worked this way. Why is it different now? You know? Because I think you're going to lose people like that. And then, so one thing that, actually, Pat, you're the one who told me this, just like a tool or like a rule of thumb here is, with your story here, when you're writing and you want to make sure it's consistent, like, and you don't want your story to be a string of pearls where it's, you know, here's an event, pause, here's event, pause, here's an event, pause, or whatever, you know. But can you shuffle the chapters, and does it matter? You know, like, if I think of my chapters as a bunch of cards and I just shake them around, is it gonna be, you know, does it make sense? Like, am I able to do that, or am I losing the story, you know? So yeah, that's the end of that rant. Sorry, guys.
Two comments came in. One, Katrina joined the chat and she said, y'all look lovely. Thank you, Katrina. You're always so sweet. We had her on our show, just as a reminder, everyone. She did People of Color with us, so give her a follow. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And Craig was like a tool of thumb, if you will.
Yeah. You guys, I told you straight out of the gate, horror is not my thing. Okay, I'm a bit flustered. I'm so sorry.
But what you're saying makes, I mean, that is absolute sense. If you can shuffle up your chapters and they still work, you're not doing it right.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sure.
Unless you're going for that. Unless you're like, oh, I want my readers to be totally fucking confused.
Yeah, where's the fun in that?
All right, I guess it's my turn.
And guys, if you have questions, drop them right here. We had a lot of them ahead of time that we're going to get to for sure. But if there's something we're not touching on or something that you want us to expand on, drop it right now. I will write it down. We'll get to it. So yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Elle.
All right. Okay, so this is going to be a lot like the Fantasy Live again. I'm going to be super upfront. I'm like Meg, you know, I'm not really a horror reader. I don't really watch horror movies. Like, I actively avoid all things scary. Like,
I mean, you have a security
I brought a blanket, okay? Like, that's how uncomfortable with fear I am. I'm literally that person who is like curled up next to you while we're watching a horror movie, and it's like, hold me, you know? I don't do horror, okay? But all that said, I do think that the psychology behind fear is really, really fascinating. So I figured I could contribute this side of it for you guys. We could brush off my rusty education and get a little nerdy
while you weep over your degree.
4 years. Okay, so fear and anxiety are actually very primal feelings. They come from a cluster of small almond-shaped cells near the base of your brain called the amygdala. So you have some on each hemisphere, so your right and your left. So this part of your brain is actually responsible for all your emotions as well as your fight or flight response. So this particular part of your brain sits in what's referred to in the neurological world as your limbic brain, which is not the most primal brain that we have, but it's it's pretty low. Like, when you look at the animal kingdom, a lot of like what would be considered like lower intelligence animals have it, for obvious reasons, to keep them alive. But the important thing to know before we talk about why we like being scared is actually the importance of having fear and anxiety. These are feelings that have always kept us safe as we've evolved over time. So although we often attribute like being scared and stuff as something negative, it's actually your brain's way of telling you that something might not be right here. And it starts getting your guard up. The difference between us and other animals is that we have, like, you know, our frontal cortex, which is advanced, and it tells us whether or not that whole like fight, flight, freeze, spawn, what we should actually do. So it allows us to take that emotion and actually do something with it. But the question comes in, if we all know that like the feeling of being scared isn't fun, why do we like seek it out in our entertainment? It's kind of weird, right? Other animals don't do this. Well, some do, but you know, on average.
Is it not fun?
Yeah.
Well,
it's fun to scare people. It is not fun to be scared.
Yeah. So, like I said above, we have a very advanced brain, which allows us to experience what's actually referred to in the psychological world as safe fear. So, yes, your body will always go into that fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode, but we actually have the ability to process that. So, because we have that ability, we're able to actually say, like, okay, it's just a book. It's just a movie. It's just a game, you know? So this allows us to be able to explore that feeling of emotion, or that feeling of fear, while also knowing that we're actually safe from something bad happening to us.
Yeah.
So if you really think about it, you know, we're actually looking for controlled fear. We're not looking for real fear. We're looking for controlled.
As Little Dreamer says, we're masochists.
And Craig says people don't describe his brain as advanced. That's too bad, Craig.
You're cracking me up, Craig.
So the next thing, and this one's going to be pretty obvious to a lot of people, it's the relief of endorphins. So adrenaline and dopamine are actually the two neurotransmitters that are associated with fear when you experience it. And so this actual biochemical combination feels good. And actually, like, I hate to say it, but the truth of the matter is that combination is actually what creates an opioid-like sense of euphoria. So for anyone who's ever been in the hospital and had those drugs administered to them, it's the same chemical reaction is actually what happens when you are experiencing fear, which releases those neurotransmitters. So
I don't know, when I'm in a haunted house, my face doesn't itch.
Okay, I wasn't talking about the negative side effects. I was talking about what happens chemically.
I'm hearing that reading my stories will get you high.
It will. Yeah. It will get you a little high. A little high on adrenaline and dopamine.
Yeah. I do not endorse this. I want to throw that out there.
Anyway, and of course, again, once you realize that you're safe, you kind of get to enjoy that rush of that biochemical rush is what you get to enjoy. I swear I speak English, you guys.
Yeah. She's over here like, I'm educated. No, she stumbles through every word ever.
I swear. Okay, so thirdly, some people just simply like the thrill. They like to see how far they can push themselves, how far they can push their senses. They just are into that kind of thing. They're weirdos. It's okay.
I laugh because Little Dreamer says a new kind of forbidden drug. Yes, fear!
Oh my gosh. Say no to drugs. Okay.
Yeah, for real.
Then another reason people seek fear actually kind of reminds me a little bit of high school. I don't know if anyone else experienced this, but when I was in high school,
yeah.
I'm more talking about like dating. So in high school, I remember being asked out on dates, and every time it was like, let's go to the latest horror film that's out. With this whole idea, and they weren't wrong when it came to me, that, you know, you would snuggle up close and, you know, you'd be their protector and all that kind of stuff. And that is actually a reason why people like horror. It's that closeness. You know.
I'm laughing because I'm the opposite of that. You're like scared and curling up, and I'm the guy who's like, not because I'm not scared, but because I don't want you to think that I'm a coward. So I'm
like, it's okay. You can know I'm a coward. I'm totally
so scared. Obviously that did not work. Opposite effect. Sorry.
You started talking about going on dates in high school, and you lost Craig.
You lost me. Oh God, Gregory. There were a lot of red flags tonight, and are you okay?
Craig went on YouTube because I kind of mumbled that one out. Craig says you started talking about going on dates in high school and you lost me, and we're all a little concerned now.
Okay, so just for everyone watching, if you go to my highlights on my page, you can click the one that says get help. And there's a lot of like hotline information there. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Do what you will with it.
Okay, and back here. Anyways, so what I was saying is that closeness is something that attracts people to horror. They feel like they can get closeness with other people.
Yeah.
And then finally, the one that probably all of you would guess is it's curiosity. As humans, we are incredibly curious, and we are most curious about the dark side of humanity. Yeah. I mean, come on, like, look at how popular true crime is right now. Like, you literally can't turn your head without someone talking about the latest true crime thing. So it's that whole idea of we want to know about darkness without having to really be a part of that darkness in a real way. We want to be able to keep that distance with it.
You see, I get that, because so like my friend, we always play this game, you know, would you rather, and the other day he asked me, he said, would you rather watch a scary movie about, because we were talking about this show coming up, and I said I really don't like horror, and he's like, I know, like, why are you doing that? And so he's like, would you rather watch a scary movie about a demonic possession, which is my number one, like, oh fuck, No, I'm used to TV when those previews come on, okay? Um, or would you rather go to a house you knew was haunted by yourself at night, armed only with a flashlight? And my first question was, how big's the flashlight? And he was like, what? And I was like, can I bludgeon myself to death with it? Or is this like, he's like, no, it is a handheld flashlight. I'm like, ugh. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to go to the house. And he's like, what, why? And I was like, because listen, if I watch the movie, you know, it's fake and, you know, it's scary and stuff. And then, like, your brain's going to be like, oh, my God, it could be so much worse. And you're going to, like, fill in the blanks later in that, like, hangover. But if I go to a place where I know it's haunted, I mean, statistically, if demonic possession happened and, like, ghosts and shit killed people, more people would die if mysterious happenstances, right? So I'm probably okay there. And then I'll know if there's like a little child laughing at that house, you know, and then I'll leave and I'll be fine. And worst case, I'll be able to swallow the flashlight. And he said, and like choke and die at this point. That's my escape plan. And he said, you know, you could just turn the movie off. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the sick curiosity, though, like, I have to know.
Or it could follow you home.
Yeah. I'm gonna choke on the flashlight now.
You, like, literally went in so deep as to, like, I'm just gonna kill myself. And he's like, Anyway, so as well as, the whole, like,
the chat's like, I'm laughing but crying.
We all are. We're all crying on the inside, Katrina. Okay. Anyway, so we also have this need for our world to make sense. So we're always looking to close the circle. Anything that we don't have a resolution to, like, think about anything in your life that doesn't have a real resolution to it. It drives you nuts, you know? You're often thinking about it. You're wondering, what if? And so horror stories and movies all have an ending. We all know how it ends. We all know what happened. It's, you know, kind of rare for it to end on a cliffhanger that we just never see the sequel, so we never know what's going to happen, you know? Like, it all, in the end, it all makes sense in some way. And humans seek that out, which is very strange.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to the haunted house.
Yeah, apparently you're just going to blow yourself to death when you know.
Listen, have an escape plan. I'm not the only one who has to.
You could turn on the TV.
If you're going into a bad situation, you should know how you're going to get out of it. Don't judge me.
Okay, before I conclude here, I just want to read Craig's comment. Guys, don't be afraid to seek help. In other news, I want to go to an asylum to see if ghosts and possessions are real. She's gonna spew.
Oh my God, Craig, you almost got me.
Oh my gosh.
That was rough. No, you almost got me.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
My desire to not spit on television is greater.
I'm gonna wrap up what I'm saying here.
Sorry.
So, as a writer, I just want to say, you guys, don't be afraid to tap into some of the psychological needs of humans. It definitely helps in creating a good horror. It's why psychological thrillers are so popular. It's tapping into that the psychology of people. It can be hard to figure out why people pick up something that's ultimately going to make them sleep with the lights on, but they do. And hopefully today's show, on top of just making you guys laugh really hard or making Megan cry, will help you with that.
I'm sorry. Just, guys, don't be afraid to seek help and other news. I'm going to
okay, hold on. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say your name so wrong because I'm realizing I've never said it out loud. Genevieve says, who knew a horror live could be such a riot? Well, you know, with the three of us, I think there was no doubt that this was going to be a bit of a chaotic. We said it on Discord, you guys. This was going to be a chaotic mess, but it's good. Are you okay there, Meg? Do we need to cut this down?
Let's get to questions. Okay, focusing.
Use those acting skills.
I know, right? Okay. Questions and answers. Yeah, I'm just gonna hijack your little questionnaire here, Elle. Number one, do you guys write horror? No, yeah, obviously Pat does. No, for me, I kind of dabbled in it a little bit with the Miranda Rights trilogy, but that's really more like spooky, ghost lore, I guess, because they're werewolf and vampires, and there are dead people in the book. So like in the first one, Night Shift, it's kind of like just kind of like eerie references. Protect and Serve is going to be pretty heavy on the death, but it's not horror. There's no jump scares and whatever. So Elle.
No, not a horror writer, romance writer.
Yeah.
I can't even pretend like I dabble anywhere near horror of any kind. I don't even go into paranormal, so.
Yeah.
I feel like everything I do just leads there, So
what does that say about you?
I know.
Everything just walks into that genre.
So I try to do a romance story, and then all of a sudden I'm just.
He's like.
Yeah.
Is everything you write turned to horror, or are you normal? Like.
It kind of reminds me of Meg. She starts at like the Ostler's Boy when she first came to me with it. It was this light, fluffy, just like super sweet romance, and then all of a sudden it just turned dark so fast, and I was like, okay, this is the direction we're going, and apparently this is all her books.
But it's really good. It's really, really good.
It's really good. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say it's bad. I'm just saying.
I gotta tell you that prologue just bludgeons your heart.
Oh, yay!
Yeah.
I read that
book. When I write shit, I'm like, I hope people weep.
Like, I said that to my mom, and when I finished reading the prologue, she's like, "Whoa, that was brutal." She's like, "But in a good way."
Yeah. It's actually hilarious. Somebody else commented on like middle of the chapter of the Oscar's Boy the other day, and they were referencing something, and they said, I hope not, because there was like a question at the end of the chapter, and they were like, I hope not, but since it's written by Meg and Alexandria, I'm just not gonna get my hopes up. Like,
you're like, yes,
you wound me, like, yeah. Sorry. Okay. So, how do I get my horror novel noticed on Wattpad? So a lot of that is going to be like the algorithm and contests and, word of mouth and self-promotion, pretty much the same way you would with anything else. Yeah. Also, if you want the things, nightmares that are, you could just write creepy, fanfic smut of famous horror things. I'm just kidding. That seems to do really well, I've noticed. Don't do it, please. There's too much in the world.
We did a whole live on Wattpad last week. It's up on YouTube. And I will say, like, yeah, everything that you said. Also, Ainsley really talked a lot about making reels and TikTok. So also just getting on there and getting those people in will help you a lot. So
yeah.
I find too that I think that people who read horror talk to other people who read horror, and they're very likely to say, hey, you would like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's almost like it's more like a condensed community, whereas romance is so fast. You can have historical, you can have drama, you can have, contemporary or sci-fi or whatever, pretty much anything, paranormal romance, pretty much anything there. And you can't just be like, hey, I like to read romances to somebody, and they'd be like, oh, me too. Here are 5 books that at the same time are our exact favorite. They're probably going to be different.
Right.
Unless you're talking to Elle and somebody else who likes Outlander. But anyway, you know, horror
Does it
I
dig at
feel
me?
like is a little more like catch-all. Like people are like, yeah, I like that one too, and I like this one, and I like that one, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then how do you write horror without getting yourself scared? As I would say, you know, if you're not scared, your readers aren't going to be scared. So, you know, power through it, bro. You're the one who wanted to write this. Just kidding. Take breaks. I don't know. I don't write it. Pat?
You know, don't know.
Yeah.
Because you know, that's kind of my gauge of
Yeah.
is this scary? You know?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yes, it's scary.
Yeah.
And then of course, you know, I'm a planner. You were talking about being a pantser. I'm a planner, but there are sometimes I will admit that there are times I will admit I'll just be clipping along and I will write something and I will go, ooh,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's messed up.
Yeah.
As a
I need some
career
help.
work, I often feel that way.
I know.
Sorry for the noise, guys. It just started pouring rain here. So if you hear that, enjoy that.
Dog's going off too in the background. So
yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of times what I write scares me, or sometimes I will, you know, like I get a lot of ideas because I'll ask somebody, you know, what scared you when you were a child? Because usually what scared you as a child is probably still going to scare you now. You just won't tell me. You know?
Yeah. Demon clowns.
Yeah. So I will think, you know, how can I make clowns scary? You know,
they're already scary. Why would someone
I don't think that's
trying to hide something?
So when you're going through all that, and then you know, as you're kind of brainstorming on this fear, then oh yeah, that is scary, and then of course my brain keeps working on it. So yeah, sometimes I scare myself.
Yeah, I think that's good, you know. It's kind of like the same concept of if you're not crying, you know, your readers aren't going to be crying. You don't care about your characters, you know.
Your readers aren't going to care,
Yeah.
Clowns are already scary. Great work.
You know, clowns are already scary. Great work. Yeah, for sure.
100%. Yeah, agreed.
All right, so which horror story villain do you not want to cross paths with?
I
cannot think of one of them that I would just want to chill with.
I don't know. Like that seems like who submitted that? Are you okay?
I don't know.
That was on our Discord, so you can go see who submitted that.
Yeah, sure.
I cannot remember. And then the next one is, what's your favorite scary movie? That's a hard one for me because I don't watch scary movies. I will say I enjoyed the riddles of Saw because I'm weird and I like riddles, and I definitely liked that aspect of it. But yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite scary movie. It's more like I just endured them because I felt like I had to. I mean, the guy was cute who was sitting next to me in the movie theater, so of course I was going to sit through the horror movie.
Have self-respect.
Sorry.
What?
I feel like I only ever watched horror movies in high school because like my friends were into them, and then like when I got asked out on dates, they would always want to go to a horror movie. I feel like ever since I got out of high school, I've never watched a horror movie. I know they exist, but I've never seen them.
I like The Shining. We mentioned it. That's pretty good. I'm trying to think. I referenced The Shining like all the effing time in my life, though. So, you know, you've always been the caretaker. Yeah, you know, and I'm a writer, so that resonates with me. Man, I'm like, there are movies I like, but I'm just not able to pull them out off the top of my head here, so I feel bad, you know.
Evil Dead 2 is my favorite. The Conjuring, did you see that one?
No.
That's good.
No.
supposedly based on a true story.
Blah,
That's what makes it worse.
blah, blah, blah. No, I saw the trailer for it and promptly muted it.
Yeah.
So what is that?
I'll tell you
what's
what I
that?
don't watch.
Oh, what do you watch?
I don't watch movies about demonic possession because that's truly scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't take that.
I
No,
remember watching The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and it just
oh God!
messed with me. It messed with me for so long.
You want to know something really so like one of the first movies I like was able to see with like my friend without my parents or whatever was The Ring. And I went, and at the very beginning, spoiler for anybody who has spoiler alert, that was not even like I missed all the consonants. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. But
Can you give me just 1 second, guys? I'll be right back.
At the very beginning, there's 2 girls that die, and they're in like their Catholic school costume, their uniform. But like at the time, I'm a millennial, so Avril Lavigne was pretty popular, and that I was sort of like how I dressed, So like at the very beginning, a blonde and a brunette die, and my friend was brunette and I was blonde, and I was like, oh my God, we've made a mistake. Like I didn't even watch the like video in the movie of The Ring where it's like, if you watch this, you're gonna die in 7 days. I was like, well, I'm not fucking doing that. Like,
Just in case.
so.
But you know what? I will say that movie and the Japanese version of that movie before it, which is better, they work with that tension.
In The Grudge
so
too.
well.
Oh,
The
I've seen The
Grudge as well.
Grudge. I've seen The Grudge.
As in, like there's a part where she's looking into the closet in The Grudge, for example. She's looking into the closet, and it's just dark. It's just dark, but she's looking and she's looking and she's looking, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, there is something there.
Stop looking.
There is something there, and you can see it. And I think that the Grudge, The Ring, and all of the Japanese movies of that genre do that really, really well. They just slowly put that tension in there, and it's really nice.
We all know the rule of thumb, like when you're passing an open window at night that you can't see, is you look at it, you give a shitty look like, come at me, bro, even though you can't see it. That person doesn't know that. So if they're going to come in and slash your family, they're like, oh, I don't want to mess with her. She's like crazy. And then you move on. And then you like casually come back and close the curtains and then go to your bed and cry. You don't sit there and stare and stare and stare and stare.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. I just wanted people to know that.
I will say that scary movies that always freaked me out was anything that surrounded the Catholic Church. My mom is very Catholic, and I just always assumed, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm baptized Catholic, they're coming for me. So I always got so freaked out with anything involving that.
Craig says demons are scared of Meg. I don't think you guys realize, like, my lizard brain is like, I'm not a coward, that goes a long way. Okay, so I might be screaming on the inside, but I'm gonna survive.
We did establish that in a horror movie I'd probably be the first one to go.
No, we established that I was gonna drag you out, remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was like, oh,
and then
I gotta take
crazy.
care of Elle, because
I'll probably
I would probably not see the threat coming.
Okay, guys. It's 6:00 this week. I'm the bad guy. Reached the end of our hour mark, which means goodbye. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Pat, for being with us tonight. We've had a lot of fun. And we appreciate all of you. It's rubbed up. I made fun of Elle for not being able to speak.
Karma.
And now I can't. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate all the questions that you give us, the chats that we have on Discords, the sprints that we're always doing. You guys are the absolute best. This was a suggested genre that we handled. So if you have a genre that you want us to handle, or maybe, a question that you have about writing or whatever, you want us to explore that for you and come back and do the show, drop it, send it to us. We definitely want to do that. Like we always harp every week, this is a writing community. It is a show for writers by writers. So, let's grow together.
Yeah.
Elle?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone who's watching here and who's going to watch later on YouTube. I promise I get asked every week in my Dropbox if this is going to be uploaded to YouTube. Yes, you guys, it is. We are finally on track. We're actually kind of a little bit, we have like a more consistent schedule of what we're doing. We're getting better, guys.
Yeah.
But your support is everything. And once again, I want to say a big thank you to Pat for being here with us and giving us her time this evening. We're always so grateful to anyone who is willing to give us the time that we demand on this show, because it's not just the hour on Sunday, guys. But Pat, can you let our viewers know one more time where we can find all your work?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Wattpad under Pat Ewick. You can find me on Instagram on author Pat Ewick. And you can find my collection of short stories for children on Amazon under Tales to Terrify.
I've read that and they are creepy.
Under Tales to Terrify by Cassandra Blackwood. Thank you, Elle. Thank you, Meg. I had a great time.
Yeah, it was a hoot. It was a riot.
It was a riot on horror. It was pretty comedic.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. Little Dreamer says, I will be the person who says, oh, we forgot something, and walks away from the group. No, that is part of the problem. Guys.
Also,
and Craig threw a shitty comment out there. Eventually it will be on YouTube. Listen, I'm caught up.
Listen, she's gonna now, just to spite you, she's gonna do it right after the show, and then she's gonna show you. So
I have a fish brain. Probably gonna forget. All right. One last thing before we go, guys. It is Preptober, which I hate that Elle wrote that for me to say. Absolutely hate it. When I read this, I was like, oh, God, I'm not saying that. But then I felt like maybe that was mean. So I've said it.
And this wasn't?
Yeah. It is so much nicer. What Preptober means is that it's, October. Ugh. And that is the month before NaNoWriMo. NaNoWriMo is just around the corner. And can you imagine that?
That's scary.
Yeah, this is your first announcement about that. You can expect us to be talking about it a lot. If you are looking for someone to keep you on track, our Discord, I keep harping that, but we will give you a channel and you can have a log there where you can say, hey, I'm at this many words. This is my goal. This is what I'm working on. And it's kind of nice to have like that, place that's just your own little corner that not only you can keep your thoughts and your logs and everything, your aesthetics and your ads. I mean, that's what I use it for. But other people can see it too. And it's kind of like, again, part of that community. It's just, I don't know. I like it. But yeah, I guess the next couple of months are going to be fun, as we try to get to 50K in 30 days. Who would do that?
Insane. And if anyone sitting here is wondering what the heck NaNoWriMo actually is, tune in next week where we are going to talk all about it. Same time, same place. We want to see you there.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.